Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Duane Toews is joined by Laura Handke, the Collegiate Coordinator for Kansas Corn. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Next, Duane is joined by Ken Wood, the president of the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, talking, you guessed it, wheat. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau Update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Duane Toews is discussing the next generation corn leaders with Laura Handke.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Laura Handke. And Laura, you have an interesting position, a new position relatively, for Kansas Corn, working with the Collegiate program. Tell us a little bit about the things that you've got going on and working with those younger folks that are interested in the corn industry.
Sure. So the Collegiate program is actually in its second year. We are in our second year of visiting kids on campus to introduce them to industry professionals and allow them to really do some networking and explore those opportunities that might be off their radar. So really trying to highlight those opportunities in ag that they might not be thinking about.
So talk a little bit about some of the specific things that you work with them on and trying to bring young people into the industry and really get a jump start, if you will, as they start their professional careers.
Absolutely. So this is our first year for the Kansas Corn Academy. And so we're going to be launching that here in a few weeks with 6 participants. And that's going to give those kids an opportunity to, again, network with individuals and learn a little bit more about the policy side of things in 2 locations across Kansas. And then they'll also have some time to do some legislative and learn a little bit more about policy in a visit to Topeka for a legislative day, and then also to Washington, D.C. this summer.
So, Laura, when we think about the opportunities within the industry, sometimes we get a little bit narrow in focus, particularly when we're back on the farm, if you will. Whereas being on their turf at the university system, the opportunities and the width and depth of the program that involves corn and agriculture, you get an opportunity to meet them in a little bigger picture as far as the industry is concerned. Sure.
So the fact is we have the most engaged group of youngsters coming up in our collegiate system right now. They're very engaged through social media, and they're probably the best communicators that ag has ever seen. So they're really providing that level of transparency and telling what's going on their farm, and that's resonating in their applications and their efforts in becoming involved in agriculture.
Talk a little bit more about that then. You referenced social media and a different environment that we're in today as far as how folks communicate, but certainly the want and desire to learn more about food and agriculture has never been more present than today.
Absolutely. So we are communicating in real time today. By the time something happens, it's already been on social media for 5 minutes, is the joke. So our kids are really seeing that, and they're embracing that technology. They haven't been a part of a world that hasn't had technology. And so they're really utilizing that, and that's where they're finding their strengths and bringing these new applications and apps and technologies back to the farm and helping to provide that communication to help alleviate some of that negative perception.
Obviously, a fairly new program with just a couple of years under belt, but how do we see the outcomes? Where is the payoff, if you will, for the industry and the effort that we're putting into them?
Sure. So I think the payout is just getting the kids involved, just letting them know what's going on, and letting them network and learn about the opportunities and explore their own path. There are so many new and innovative technologies and career paths available in agriculture today, and just allowing them the opportunity to explore those and giving them a little bit of in-depth opportunity to network amongst those industry professionals.
All right, thanks to Laura joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. John Heisdorfer is joining us. He is a soybean producer from Kyoto, Iowa, and he also serves on the board of the U.S. Soybean Export Council. John, it's interesting because of the fact that you have customers out there who really like U.S. soy, but it's also nice to have a brand that says U.S. soy as well.
We just started to, it hasn't been that long ago, probably close to a year ago, we started a trial with putting a soy seal on certain things in other countries. You know, it's up to them to do it. And, that's one way of everyone seeing that the promotion of soy through that seal, a quality product, and in a supermarket, where all the happenings really happen. The wives buy all the food.
Because it's the quality of the product is important there, and knowing that you can put that seal there, boy, it's got to feel good for the industry that they can get that type of reaction to the product too.
That's exactly right. And it's just like with anything else. If you see that seal of approval on there that says this is a product made with U.S. soybeans, you're getting a really good product.
Having a seal like that, knowing you can do that has to be a good advantage, and it gives you some advantages out in that international market.
Well, USEC tries to get an advantage wherever they can, and we don't sell soybeans. We make a preference for U.S. soybeans. So this is one way in which you can look at as a preference with the seal, and sustainability is another thing that we stress quite a bit. So I think it all helps. Yes.
Do you see this program, like you said, just a year in its use? You see that program growing even more going into the future?
As long as we have countries asking to put that seal on things, it'll keep increasing, and we do see that it's growing slowly, but it takes time, like anything else, to develop. So
it's just a young program, though.
That's correct. It is. Yep, and I think it'll continue to grow.
All right, sounds good, John. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you very much.
That is John Heisdorfer from Kyoto, Iowa. He also serves on the board of the U.S. Soybean Export Council. On this edition of the Kansas Soybean Update, it's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Duane Toews and Ken Wood with the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply. What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now let's talk beef with Duane and Ken Wood, talking about how national issues affect the wheat crop here in the state of Kansas and how new innovations at the Wheat Innovation Center can help in Kansas and around the world.
Duane Toews joining once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Ken Wood with the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Ken, we think about wheat industry in Kansas. A lot of talk about production, acres, and things of that nature, but ultimately it comes down for growers' profitability is if we continue to have export markets to move that crop out of country, we just can't consume it all domestically.
That's absolutely right. Trade is always kind of the number one issue with wheat growers. It's big for all of ag, but I think it's especially important for wheat growers. In Kansas, we export at least about half of what we raise. And if we can't do that, then we've got real problems in the market.
A lot of things going on internationally and domestically here as well as we look at some of those policies that affect that. But ultimately, our goal is to get that food product into consumers that need it around the world, and there's plenty of those.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating when you read about famines and shortages of food in places, and we've got piles of wheat on the ground in a lot of places in the state. That's a marketing problem or a distribution problem, and we need to work on that.
We hear about that growing world population, but a lot of folks have said, hey, if we take care of the distribution issues that we have and the waste and loss issues, we can probably feed everybody with what we're growing now.
I think we're producing, a good volume of crop. It is more of a distribution problem, or in a lot of ways, it's an income problem. They have to be able to get money to pay for that back to us. There has to be a way to clear that stuff out of the market. And that's a lot of times it's not the production, it's more distribution or more economics or sometimes politics.
We think about the situation that we're currently in within the Central Plains here. A fall that was pretty dry and not much moisture this winter. Have folks concerned about this spring, along with some very cold temperatures that we've seen as well.
Yeah, that's a concern in our area, kind of in the central part of the state. There's some wheat that was planted after bean harvest last fall that has not come up yet. So we always worry about the crop when it's coming out of winter, coming out of dormancy, to see what we have. This year, I think there's a little more concern than normal about that.
Ultimately, that could affect price, but if we don't have anything to sell, that's not necessarily a great thing for farmers and ranchers as well.
Price and production are the two aspects. So, revenue is what we actually can use. So if we don't have the production, the price doesn't matter so much. If we don't have a decent price, then the production isn't as important. So we kind of have to have a balance of both of them.
We think about other issues that were talked recently at Commodity Classic would have been farm bill discussions. We're due for the rewriting of one. A lot of discussion about whether we veer off from where we're at or just tweak what we have for the system right now.
Most of the people that I've talked to say that they think it's going to be more about tweaking or making adjustments to what we actually have now. And I don't know whether anybody really has the stomach to try to tackle a major overhaul. I think most producers that I've talked to will be kind of relieved if they can make a few adjustments to what we have now because they're a little bit more used to it. So stability, I think, would be kind of important in that respect.
Having some reliability and dependability ultimately to allow them to make good market decisions for their operation.
Yeah, I think that's right. We know a little bit more about how the program works now, so we feel like we know a little bit more about how much we can depend on it. And like I said, I think a few adjustments here and there, and more tweaks, more minor things, but not a major overhaul.
We think about some of the other issues nationally, a lot of discussion about whether we can gross enough dollars per acre from a wheat crop and what we maybe need to look at doing internally with that wheat seed to maybe provide some more opportunities for us to gross more dollars.
That's where some of the research stuff comes in, to trying to add value to the crop, both from a quality standpoint and from a production volume standpoint. That's one thing that we've been working on here in the Manhattan area with the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center and some of those developments. But it's an ongoing thing, and it's something that you work on now for the future. So it's going to take a little while for some of the fruits of that to manifest itself, but we're working toward that anyway.
Well, our thanks to Ken Wood with the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after this break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
This segment brought to you by the Arab Shrine Circus, coming to the Kansas Expo Center February 15th through the 18th. For ticket information, visit ArabShrineCircus.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, it's Shrine Circus time! Enjoy a weekend of thrills, chills, and tons of fun at the Kansas Expo Center February 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. See lions and tigers, elephants, high-flying trapeze artists, and watch a man shot out of a cannon. And Johnny Rocket, everyone's favorite, is back! For more information, visit ArabShrineCircus.com and be sure to thank our corporate sponsor, Security Benefit, the Arab Shrine Circus. Don't you dare miss it!
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm, so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer and work with you.
Hi, I'm Randy.
And I'm Paul from PFI.
We would like to personally invite you to stop by PFI, home of Boot Daddies.
PFI is America's Western store, covering over 50,000 square feet.
Over 25,000 boots.
Visit Saddle City with the largest selection of saddles and tack anywhere.
A huge selection of hats at Big Spur Hat Company in PFI Town.
And choose from the best brands of clothing and accessories for the entire family.
PFI, located on Highway 65 at the Battlefield exit in Springfield. And I'm not kidding.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
A coalition led by the American Farm Bureau Federation is asking a federal district court in Texas to issue a nationwide stay blocking the Obama administration's 2015 Waters of the U.S. rule. AFBF General Counsel Ellen Steen says a stay is needed following a Supreme Court decision that ruled jurisdiction of the rule lies in federal district courts, not federal appeals courts, where a nationwide stay of the rule was issued in 2015.
Unless something happens fast, we're at risk of having that national stay that was in place go away very soon, and the 2015 rule would go into effect and would regulate potentially countless landscape features on farms around the country.
Steen says the stay on the activation date of the 2015 rule would give the EPA time to reconsider and change the rule.
The current administration has an opportunity to decide whether to make a permanent change to the regulations. We're hoping just to maintain status quo while the administration has a chance to go through a thoughtful process and come up with some rules that work.
The Environmental Protection Agency is also taking steps to delay the rule while the agency reconsiders the regulations. Steen says the parallel effort in the Texas court is needed because each step by the agency is being attacked in other courts.
There are other stakeholders out there that are fighting very hard to have the 2015 rule go into effect. They argue that it's important to protect water quality and drinking water, and they use a lot of real emotional language about it. What it really is about is regulating more activities, including ordinary farming activities.
Michael Clements, Washington.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind, and we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
BootDaddy.com proudly supports Equifest of Kansas, Kansas's premier all-breed horse fair and exposition, presented by the Kansas Horse Council. Equifest of Kansas brings the nation's leading equine clinicians and entertainers to the Topeka Expo Center. Enjoy 3 full days of education, entertainment, and shopping, including the Jumper Classic, breed exhibition, top horse versatility competition, ranch rodeo, and more. It's an event for the whole family. For more information or to buy tickets, visit equifestofks.com.
Welcome to our Bar B, 8,000 plus square feet Western store with something for everyone in the family. We have boots, belts, hats, jeans, anything you could want to outfit you and your horse. Come visit our line of saddles. We have 400 plus new and used saddles in stock. We offer tack, grooming supplies, headstalls, breast collars, you name it, we've got it for you and your horse. That's our Bar B, 1 mile east of Highway 4 on Northeast 39th. Our Bar B, where Western is a way of life.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to today on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with the smirky Duane Toews.
I think I've got you this time.
Oh, well, it's about 50% time you.
You're fact or fiction, Kyle Bauer. Blueberries.
I'm going to bear down on it.
Blueberries.
Yeah, I love blueberries.
They don't ripen until they're picked. Fact or fiction?
I actually have a friend that now is in the blueberry area in New Jersey.
Really?
And they pick almost all of them by hand.
All right.
And I'm going to go with fiction.
Says it's true.
I thought maybe you were good with cranberries.
Yeah.
You know, part of the
cranberry bogs, those are kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, my hat's off to the guys that make the funny commercials for cranberries.
I wonder if they're really cranberry farmers.
I have no idea.
Well, I wonder if they might not be. You know, that's how they decide, though. If they're bad cranberries, they sink.
Yeah.
And the good ones float. Right. And they go in after they flood that bog, and that bog's only like 2 foot deep in water. And they go in with a little machine, little buggy with little flappers on it.
Breaks them all off the plant.
Yeah, just shakes
knocks
them all
off,
off, and they float up to the top.
Yeah. Along with all the other stuff that you don't want to eat.
Right, and then they just take a big boom that goes across there and just pull them over into a corner, put an elevator in the corner, and elevate them up in their truck along with a lot of water. And you know where all that water goes?
Runs on the ground.
Runs right back in the bog. Yeah, exactly right.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think they use the water in the bogs for much besides just harvesting.
Could you imagine, like the rice paddies, when they do those, that a lot of duck hunters are really excited about that.
Right. Well, the rice is out there for the ducks to be, and the leftover rice after they've harvested that.
And then the ducks come through and they can go duck hunting.
And they're going.
That wouldn't be bad. I mean, that wouldn't be good, in a cranberry bog. I don't think you'd want your ducks swimming out there with your cranberries.
Well, I don't think you're going to do a lot about it. What are you going to do out there? Shoo away?
Ducks leave behind materials that you wouldn't want with your cranberries.
Well, I think it's after the cranberries are harvested.
Then you let the ducks in? Well, how do you do that?
Well, you just say...
You only flood it till right before you're going to harvest? Is that how they do that?
I think that's how they do it. They literally just...
Run the water in?
Right. They
churn
go through
it
with
up.
their little deal, and then I don't think they leave the water in. Now, I might be wrong on that. Maybe they leave the water in for the winter, but they're planted in bogs.
Could pump it over into the next one.
Right.
Then harvest that one.
Right. Or it could just soak into the ground and be somebody else's water supply next year. Right.
As it moves down through the alluvium.
Exactly. There is no wasted water. It's only somebody else's water that they're going to use.
Where does it go?
Yeah, one man's waste is another man's water.
Interesting. California has agriculture has a big opinion of that. They're not so fond of water running into the Pacific Ocean.
Well, now that's a waste.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.